As future educators, we often focus on what students learn, but not always on what affects how they learn. This idea led us to our study, understanding how social media use influences mathematics anxiety through self-regulation among Filipino high school students. For many Filipino students, learning mathematics is not just challenging, it is a continuous struggle that begins early and persists across grade levels. According to the Second Congressional Commission on Education, mathematics proficiency significantly declines as students progress in school. A sharp decline for mathematics proficiency is observed from 19.56% in grade 6 to 1.36% in grade 10 and further down to around 0.47% in senior high school. This alarming trend is largely attributed to unaddressed foundational gaps. At the same time, classroom conditions further intensify these challenges, as students often struggle with focus, engagement, and various forms of distraction during lessons. These figures show that learning difficulties are not only academic but are also shaped by environmental and behavioral factors. One major factor shaping students' academic and emotional experience today is social media. Who doesn't even use social media nowadays, right? Especially in our generation and the next generations. Social media is around us, everywhere. In the Philippine context, especially among high school students, social media has become a central part of everyday life. It is used for communication, entertainment, and even academic purposes, allowing students to share information and stay connected. However, while social media use offer benefits, excessive use has been linked to reduced focus and negative psychological outcomes like anxiety. Studies have shown that social media use can increase anxiety levels, making it harder for students to manage their learning effectively. This brings us to an important point: anxiety of students. Research conducted in Bangladesh suggests that both general anxiety and mathematics anxiety negatively affect academic performance. More importantly, general anxiety may intensify the effects of math anxiety, making learning even more difficult for students. This implies that factors contributing to general anxiety, such as social media use, may directly or indirectly influence students' experience in mathematics. Given that general anxiety and low self-esteem are known predictors of math anxiety, the psychosocial effects of excessive social media use can make students more vulnerable to developing mathematics anxiety.
Even when Filipino students feel confident in the classroom, many still experience mathematics anxiety. This concern that has steadily increased since 2012, highlighting the urgent need to understand its causes and influences. Despite the importance of this issue, there remains limited research, and this is where our study comes in. As future educators, it is important for us to understand not only what students learn, but also what affects how they learn. Therefore, this study aims to explore the relationship between social media use and mathematics anxiety among high school students. Ultimately, the goal of this study is to generate insights that will help teachers design more responsive, supportive, and effective mathematics learning experiences. Now, let's first introduce the key variables that the researchers will be examining in this study. Our focus is on three main variables: social media use, self-regulation, and mathematics anxiety. Let's look at how these concepts connect in the research framework. These variables are interconnected in ways that are particularly relevant for high school students. Social media use may influence self-regulation through mechanisms like upward social comparison based from social comparison theory by Pestinger. which can either motivate students or create discouragement. In turn, self-regulation affects mathematics anxiety. Students with strong self-regulatory skills tend to experience less anxiety, while those with weaker self-regulation are more vulnerable to stress and avoidance behaviors in math tasks. To put it simply, social comparison theory helps explain why social media experiences may trigger emotional reactions such as anxiety or motivation, while SRL theory explains how students can manage these reactions through planning, monitoring, and persistence. While our study is not strictly theory-driven, these theories help us understand the connections between social media use, self-regulation, and mathematics anxiety among students.
This study seeks to explore how social media use influences mathematics anxiety, specifically to answer these research questions. First, how is social media use related to self-regulation among Filipino high school students? Second, how is self-regulation related to mathematics anxiety among Filipino high school students? And third, does social media use significantly predict mathematics anxiety among Filipino high school students, both directly and indirectly, through self-regulation? To answer these research questions, the researchers used a correlational research design, an approach that examines relationships among variables without manipulating them. This design is appropriate because the study focuses on naturally occurring variables, such as social media use, self-regulation, and mathematics anxiety. It aims to determine their association and predictive relationship rather than to test an intervention. The study will be conducted in a secondary school in the Philippines involving high school students aged 13 to 17 years old. These participants are suitable for the study as they are actively engaged in both academic learning and social media use. To ensure representation, participants will be selected using stratified random sampling, grouping students from grade 7 to grade 10 and selecting them proportionally. Since the participants are minors, strict ethical considerations will be followed. Parental consent and student assent will be obtained, participation will be voluntary, and students may withdraw at any time. Confidentiality and anonymity will be ensured with no identifying information collected. For data collection, permission will first be secured from the school administration. Consent forms will be distributed and collected prior to scheduled data gathering. On the day of the collection, an orientation will be conducted to explain the purpose of the study, procedures, and participants' rights. The survey will be administered using Google Forms and is expected to take about 15 to 25 minutes. Participants will use their own devices, but devices will be provided for those who do not have access. During the session, the researchers will monitor and provide guidance without influencing responses. After completion, responses will be checked for completeness and securely stored. A brief debriefing will also be conducted. The study will use three standardized instruments. First, the social media use scale by Tuck and Thompson to measure frequency and patterns of social media use. Second, the abbreviated math anxiety scale by Hopko et al. To assess levels of mathematics anxiety. And third, the adolescent self-regulatory inventory by Moilanen to measure self-regulation. All instruments have established validity and reliability. And for data analysis, the study will use path analysis, a form of structural equation modeling, to examine both direct and indirect relationships among variables. Specifically, it will analyze how social media use relates to self-regulation, how self-regulation influences mathematics anxiety, and whether social media use predicts mathematics anxiety both directly and indirectly through self-regulation. Through this approach, the study aims to provide a clearer understanding of how social media behaviors and self-regulatory processes interact to influence students' experiences of mathematics anxiety. While we cannot control students' social media use outside the classroom, we can empower them to manage its effects and create more positive and meaningful mathematics learning experiences. That will be all, and thank you.